All right, today we're diving into something pretty amazing, a potentially groundbreaking new way to fix a lifelong disease by correcting a single, tiny mistake in our genetic code.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What if your entire health, your whole life, hinged on one single letter being wrong out of 3 billion? Well, for thousands of people, that's not a what if, it's their reality. And that's where our story really begins. Okay, so first things first, let's really get a handle on the problem. What is this disease, and what's it actually like for the people who live with it day in and day out?
So the disease we're talking about is called phenylketonuria, or PKU for short. Basically, it's an inherited disorder where your body just can't break down a specific amino acid called phenylalanine, or Phe. And when that stuff builds up, it becomes toxic, especially to the brain.
Now, you might hear PKU is a rare disease and not think much of it, but look at this number, 20,000. That's roughly how many people are living with this condition right now, just in the United States. It's a small community, but a significant one.
And the impact is huge. We're talking about serious neurological issues, cognitive challenges. To manage this, patients have to follow an incredibly strict diet for their entire lives. They rely on special, often expensive, medical foods just to keep that toxic Phe from building up. It is a constant, lifelong battle.
But what if you could do more than just manage the symptoms? What if you could fix the root cause? Well, that question is leading us to a potential new chapter for everyone with PKU.
So let me introduce you to Beam 304. This is a new experimental program from a company called Beam Therapeutics, and it's aiming to take on PKU in a totally different way.
And this is the part that is just so incredible. The goal here isn't another pill or a diet you have to follow forever. We're talking about a one-time treatment, a single shot designed to permanently correct the genetic mistake that causes the whole disease.
Okay, so how on earth is that even possible, right? Well, this gets us into the really fascinating science of how you can actually go in and edit the code of life itself.
Now, to get this, you gotta understand the technology. You've probably heard of gene editing tools like CRISPR, which are often described as molecular scissors. They go in and cut the DNA. Base editing is different. It's way more like having a pencil and an eraser. It doesn't need to cut the DNA strand. Instead, it just finds the one wrong letter and chemically rewrites it into the correct one. It's basically a super precise find and replace for your genes.
And here's how it all comes together in the body. It's actually a pretty elegant process. First, they package this base editor into these tiny little fat bubbles called lipid nanoparticles, or LNPs. Those LNPs are designed to head straight for the liver. Once they're there, the editor gets to work. It finds that one little typo in the specific gene that's supposed to handle phenylalanine, the PAH gene, and it corrects it. And the result? Hopefully, the body can just start processing pH normally again, bringing those toxic levels way down.
But the real genius here isn't just correcting one typo. It's how they're planning to scale this approach to help as many people as possible. See, here's the really clever part. PKU isn't caused by just one single typo. There are actually a bunch of different mutations in the patient community. So instead of making a whole new drug for each one, Beam is building a single platform. It allows them to develop multiple specific base editors for different typos, all under the same umbrella program, Beam 304.
And that big picture thinking is perfectly summed up in this quote from Beam's CEO, John Evans. He's not just talking about treating a handful of patients. The vision is to create these durable, one-time treatments for the vast majority of people living with this disease. Of course, a big vision needs to be backed up by data. And so far, the early signs are really, really good. In studies with mice, the treatment worked. It normalized those toxic phenyl levels. It showed precise, on-target editing right where it needed to be in the liver. And it was effective at doses they think will be relevant for human trials. So the science looks solid. The early results are promising. What's next? Where do we go from here on the road from the lab to a potential cure?
This timeline lays out a great roadmap for us. The preclinical success, the proof of concept in mice, that's in the rearview mirror. The next huge milestone is expected in 2026, when Beam plans to file with the FDA to get the green light for human testing. After that comes the really exciting part, the first trial in people, to see if it's both safe and effective.
And they're being super strategic about this, which is just brilliant. For their very first go in humans, they're going to focus on the single most common PKU mutation out there, something called R408W.
By targeting just that one typo first, they could potentially help nearly half of all patients in the US right out of the gate.
And that really leaves us with the big, mind-blowing question at the end of all this. We've been focused on PKU today, but it's just one of thousands of diseases caused by a single wrong letter in our DNA. So if this pencil and eraser approach works here, could this be the key that unlocks a new future for countless other genetic diseases? That's the ultimate hope, and you can be sure we'll be watching very closely.